What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another week of the Endgame podcast. I am 30 and Still Gaming. You're watching the Nerding with 30 Endgame podcast over here on 30 and Still Gaming. Those of you that are watching tonight, you'll see it here live on 30 and Still Gaming, and then it'll move on over, if you missed it, to go watch the replay over on Nerding with 30, which is our other channel for entertainment. That's what's going on. Those of you that don't understand what this show is, this is the Endgame podcast. We're talking about Moon Knight episode 4. If you haven't seen anything about Moon Knight, you probably don't want to stay and listen to this. This one was a weird one. I actually liked it, but I'm going to be a little hard on it early on. So if you don't want to be spoiled in any way, shape, or form of this, please make sure this is spoiler alerts. If you'd like to help us out in any way, shape, or form on this as well, we are live every single Wednesday night when the Disney Plus shows are out. Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on 30 and Still Gaming. We'll do a breakdown. It takes about 35, 40 minutes. We talk about it. I give you my thoughts, my breakdowns, what I thought. And then you guys call in and in chat. I take your questions and your theories and your speculations and what's going on, and that's what we do every single Wednesday. You can help us out by hitting the share, like, and subscribe button over here on YouTube. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, you can do a super chat. You can also do memberships for as little as 99 cents, and you can also go over to Twitch, hit that follow button for absolutely free, or you can go also hit a subscription button for $4.99, or use your Twitch Prime. All right. What's going on, everyone? What's going on, Wonder Rose, Stealth, Dope, Krebsy, Duke? How's everyone doing tonight? I appreciate you all showing up when we do these things live. All right. So let me jump directly into what's happening here, right? So this episode turns up and it's we see Osiris. We see Osiris coming in, and the camera's upside down in the beginning of this, right? So as soon as the show starts, it's upside down, obviously showing us, just like the first episode when they went into the, was it the first episode or the second episode? I think it was the first episode when they turned it upside down. It might have been the second one. And it's showing us like it's just a upside down kind of a feeling for Mark or for Steven or whatnot. And they show us as he's holding in Khonshu, and then he placed the statue that they encased him in on the wall. And when they do this, there's a wall of like 10 total other, I'm assuming other gods that they've imprisoned into these statues. Okay. Don't know what this is. Let me see if I can get to the actual picture and show you guys it real fast here. So this episode was really dark, and I don't mean like dark, like spooky, scary, like dark, like lighting wise. So this is the shot they showed us. Oh, hold on, I gotta get the full screen. Sorry, guys. So this is the scene they showed, and there's total of 10 on the wall, right? And obviously, again, I say this every single week, and I'll keep continuing to say it. I know nothing of Moon Knight. I don't follow the comics. I don't know anything about it. I don't follow Egyptian gods. So people watching this or people listening to me right now are probably screaming at the screen going, that's this, and this is what's happening, and this is what happened in the comics. I'm giving you my thoughts and speculations and theories based on just watching the episode, okay? I know nothing. I don't watch other people's videos before I do this video. This is my thoughts, my details, my everything that I picked up or didn't pick up. So there's people going to be watching this after the fact and go, this guy doesn't know anything. And you're right. I know nothing. I'm only telling you based on the stuff that I've seen and telling you if them telling the story is coming across and I'm picking it up. You see what I'm saying? They're throwing it down and see if I'm picking it up. And then we have a conversation afterwards. So obviously, they show him on there, and then it starts off with Layla back out in the desert, and she's trying to wake up Mark, Steven, wake up. Now, production-wise, this show, when you tell me it cost $8 million an episode or $10 million an episode, and the sets that they're using, obviously we know that they're using, for these close-up shots, lots of close-up shots, they're using the Vroom, right, which we talk about for Mandalorian, and we know it's being used for other shows and movies and stuff now. It was used for Batman. It was used for Thor, Love and Thunder. It's also used for Moon Knight and whatnot. And this desert scene where Layla's trying to help or wake up, and then the truck's coming to shoot them, right? So they start opening fire. She starts taking cover. And this is not about... I would have a problem if Layla was down and Steven did what she did, okay? Finding the flare and trying to fend off this vehicle with a gun on top, and as they're opening fire, they're taking shots. They're missing left and right. Rolls down the hill. They take a little cover behind their vehicle. They think he's dead. She finds a flare. Okay, she's hiding away. They're shining a light. I mean, this is not this difficult. Obviously, the way they showed it, they show the big ammo crate on the back, and you're like, oh, well, you know, that's going to happen. So that's how she's going to kill him. She runs in the pitch darkness. Now, obviously, we can see her running because it's dark, but they can't see her because it's the middle of night. She runs to the car. They're shining a light. They can't see her, and she grabs a flare. And then she turns it on, and it's like a running joke in this episode. So she gets the flare, and she chucks it at the Jeep. Okay, when she chucks it at the Jeep, it hits the ammo, and then the ammo starts to fire and shoot everywhere. And to me, this made me laugh a little bit, right? And I get it. It's a show, and I'm going to be nitpicking here, but I don't care if it was Steven that threw the fucking thing or if it was Layla that shot it. This is not me being like, oh, well, the girl did it. None of that. It's literally throwing the flare in the back of the truck and then bullets flying everywhere, and they didn't get hit, right? Do you know what I mean? Just a little weird, just a little odd, but I get it. It's the explosion was kind of cheap as well, because obviously it's not an explosion, but it was like fireworks or sparklers or whatnot, and it looked really bad. And then Steven wakes up and she's like, what? Right? Like he's looking at her like, how do you do this? You're amazing. Type of stuff, right? So then they travel and they get to the dig site, or where they are, right? They get off and run off on foot, and then they go down and they overlook the camp. And when they get there, there's nobody there. Okay, they see a goat in the thing. That's our second time we saw a goat. We saw a goat in the first episode, or was it the second episode, where he says, "Oh, goat." And so there's got to be a reason they keep bringing up goats. I don't know. But anyway, as they get to the campsite, they see all these people, or they see all the camp, and they get down there and it's completely empty. It's completely vacant. And this is another thing that kind of threw me off, right? They've been there a good day or two before they even found this place. Okay. We even asked last episode, did Arthur already dig it up? Like, what's happening with that? I said last week that they probably dug it up. And obviously they did. They have the thing set up. They started making the dig. But they didn't find the tomb by now, right? Meanwhile, Layla and Steven stumble on the tomb in about, 20 seconds, which is just funny to me. Okay. And we'll go into that a little bit more. There's this scene that happens where they're talking, and he's getting in an argument with Mark. He's like, Mark says to Steven, give me the body. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Just go away. You said when Khonshu was gone, you were going to go and whatnot. He's like, not like this. I know what to do here. You're in a situation. You're well over your head. I want to protect Layla. And he just doesn't care. And Steven's just blowing him off, right? Just leave us alone, whatever. They see these B-roll shots of these tools that the Egyptians used to use, where they would pull organs and stuff out on the ground. You see fresh blood into the sand, like this, right? You'll see this weapon on the ground, and you see the spots of fresh blood or whatnot there. So as this whole scene here was kind of weird. So he's putting on a harness, and the dialogue here, he says, I have to say, I feel like I've been waiting this for my whole life. And obviously they're doing sexual innuendos here. At least this is what I picked up, right? So she's messing with his pants. He's got this look on his face, right? He's got his look on his face like this. Obviously it's a PG, 13 show, whatever. But he's got this face, and he says this, I have to say I've been feeling it. And then as she comes up, as she comes up, she's got this. My whole life I've been waiting for this, and then he's got this smirk on his face, and he's like, "The adventure, I mean." And then she pops up, and she's got a smile on her face, right? Like, we know that they're both excited for this archaeology excitement, but the way they were making it come across was like she was down there doing something, right? So I don't know. I picked it up, and then as they say, the adventure, I mean, right? And then they go on, and he kind of does it again, and then she gets real close to him, and you can see like the chemistry happening. I saw it the last couple episodes. I said she's more in love with Steven than Mark at this point, right? Even though Mark's her husband, and they're the same person, the personality that she relates to is Steven, right? You can see them getting real close here, and then she goes in for a kiss. But then Steven's like, no, don't do it, or whatever. And then just a couple of minutes later, he makes the move on her, and it was very awkward. It was very awkward. Now, I don't know if this is... I guess it's meant to be, right? I guess it's meant to be. Because on the boat in the last episode, I believe, when she holds hands with him and they're talking, you felt like there was no connection. There was no connection between Mark and Layla. Okay. Now, obviously, in this scene, there's like an awkward moment, but there's still a chemistry there where she likes Steven, even though it's Mark. Okay. And she knows it's not Mark, but she thinks it's Mark. And then he makes a kiss on her. And then obviously Mark knows he's kissing her. So he gets a little mad and then punches him or himself. Right. Well, she goes down. He gets in a fight with himself. Now, I don't know for an instance if Mark punched him or if his third persona, as we're calling Jake, because that you guys told me this last week that Jake is the third persona. We figured out, even though I've never read the comics or anything like that. Jake, the taxi cab driver in the comics, could be the third persona. Okay, I don't know if he's the one that punched her, or I keep saying her punches Steven, or if it's Mark that punches Steven. Obviously, I think it is Mark because it's his wife and he just kissed her. Anyway, they go down into the belly of the pyramid or the tomb or whatnot, and as he's there, he gets in a fight with himself, and he falls down down there, and he's freaking out. He's like, "This is amazing! Oh my god!" And they start talking back and forth. He brings up she brings up her father, and Steven's like, "Oh, he would be so proud to see you here." 99.99% sure it's Mark. Correct. It just seems weird to me because when Mark says later in the episode, he says, "So you kissed her." He doesn't sound too angry there, and this is why I think it might be the third persona, Krebsy. Obviously, when the punch first happened, I was like, oh, that's Mark hitting him. Okay? But when he walks across in the tomb area and sees in the reflection of the water, Mark says, "Oh, so you kissed her." And he says it pretty calm, right? And they don't reference the punch or anything like that. So Mark doesn't seem too mad about it. You know what I mean? So this is why the only reason I bring up that it could be the third persona of it. I don't know. It's not a real big deal, but it's just what I picked up on it. I thought it was Mark 100%, but then the doubt came when Mark said, "Oh, so you kissed her." Because you would have think that Steven would have said something about the punch, right? And maybe I missed it. Another thing that I don't like about this episode, it does remind me, and this is not what I don't like about it. It does remind me of of the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark. I got a lot of Raiders of the Lost Ark type of feel during this episode, right? But what really tossed me off was, one, like the fight scene in the very beginning where she threw the flare. Two, like this whole scenario when they're in the belly of this beast of this tomb. And they seem like, of course they've studied it, but no one's ever been there, right? No one's ever been there. They've only read it about it in text and whatnot. They've never really knew what this was. And yet they walk around pretty easily and they figure out stuff like they've been there before. They don't really seem like they're lost, if that makes sense, right? And obviously, I understand it's a TV series and there's only 6 episodes, but they don't make any kind of reference. They just kind of just know what's going on. They know everything about it. They seem like they've been there before, which kind of pulled me out just a little bit out of it, right? So they check out all the statues, all the carvings on the walls, all the drawings, all the stuff. And as they go in, Mark asks, "Did you do this?" And there's a symbol on the ground. And I guess it means something about her father, because I don't read, Egyptian. So apparently it means something about her father. It represents her father. So I'm assuming that they're initials of her father, but in a different language. Steven talks to him. It must have been a dream, for him to see you standing here and complete this, And she says, yeah, I think he would be happy or whatnot. So obviously they're pushing more towards what what her father meant to her, and we find out a little bit more, what happened. And I still don't think we know the full story. So as we're walking through this maze, this labyrinth or whatever, Steven's focusing the light, looking around. You can see the little rooms and whatnot. And what I find interesting is he figures it out pretty fast. Now, obviously, Steven is smart when it comes to this type of stuff, but they literally walked in one room, turned a corner, and then all of a sudden he started drawing on the table or the sarcophagus or whatever was there into the sand and started drawing the symbol. And he's like, this is the layout. This is the maze. And I was like, well, how is this a maze? Because if you look at the drawing, and I'll put it up there in a second when he does it. Okay, let me bring it up. Right? How is this a maze? Because there's the one point right here. Okay, so let's just say they came in, they walked around the corner, and they came into this point right here. And are these the hallways? And he knows where he is. And then how would he know where the person's buried? He figures it out. And if this is a path, and how does he know the eyebrows up? It's just very strange to me. Now, obviously, I guess I'm nitpicking again, but it just didn't make sense to me when he's like, "Oh, it's a maze. It's a maze." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I was a little off. Thrown off there a little bit. I was like, okay, he figured it out. It's a maze, but then he draws a thing where it's not really a maze. It's all connected. So as they figure it out, they continue on. He explains what it is, and they continue through the only path that's there, and they end up in this next room, which is a chamber that has a table in it, and you can see the fresh blood, and they notice that it has the chunks of meat or blood on it, and they're looking around like, wait, is this fresh? Is this fresh stuff? And you can see that there's dead bodies in there, or mummies, mummified, and there's fresh blood, and they see it. And all of a sudden, they start to hear these clicks, and there's this communication, something's happening, but they don't really know what's happening, right? Steven goes up on this other high-end area, while Layla stays down. He goes up there and sees some sort of, I don't want to call it a chamber, but a table with an arm with skin on it. And I think the snake skin's on there because of regeneration, right? And he says something like that. And I believe it's in the afterlife. I would assume that they kill snakes and wrap it around the body of the king or person so they could regenerate, basically, and believe that they're coming back. I would assume that's what they're doing. So as he's up there, he's just really excited about seeing all this stuff. And then all of a sudden they hear those noises. Ancient texts are up there. As they're up there, you then see this guy come in, and Layla takes cover. Okay, they're making more noise, and I don't know how this person... So they hide. And while they hide, there's this... I don't know, this monster... creature in humanoid, I don't know what you want to call him. He's got one of Arthur's men, and he's a little droggy. He's slaughtering him alive and starts to dissect him on the table and drain him right then and there. Meanwhile, Layla's like right there and doesn't get caught or found. And then all of a sudden you can see he's like a blue creature. I don't know if he's an ancient Egyptian. I don't know if he's an alien. I don't know what he is, right? I don't know if he's from an interdimensional place. Don't know nothing about this. Krebsy says, the eye symbol means small, thought, sight, taste, hearing, and touch. Different sections mean different things. Sure. But what I'm saying is he says that it was a maze. And I'm just like, I just didn't get how he figured it out so fast and whatnot. That's all. So Layla's like moving around the table, makes some noise. The priest, the doctor, whatever you want to call him, is hears the noise and he starts walking around the table. Steven doesn't want her to get caught, so he makes some noise. Then he goes up on top to try to grab Steven, and then she grabs something to make noise. He pushes the table over and squishes him. At least we think he squishes him. So he's climbing up to get Steven. Layla starts to run, and they move on. Steven walks through the top door, says, I'll meet you. She goes into this cavern, which is like the endless bottomless pit or whatever. How did he know to draw the particular symbol, though? That's my problem, Alien. That's my problem. It was under the dust. Plot armor. It was under the dust. Okay, so wait a minute. You're saying when he was drawing it, he was tracing. He wasn't drawing. The thing was underneath. Here's where I think I'm going to call BS there for a second there. Okay, because if he saw something underneath there, why didn't he just wipe it all clean to see the image instead of drawing it on the thing? You know what I'm saying? It definitely does sound like a plot hole. It's just very it would have been just very it's just very strange. That's all. For a moment, I'm not saying it's game breaking for me, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not pulling me out completely, but I was just like, wait a minute, how did he was in that room, he was in that area for, I don't know, 2 minutes. He's like, oh. Like, okay. How's that gonna work? Anyway. So then this reminded me when she's over at this pit. This reminded me of Indiana Jones when he was almost in the same type of situation, right? So she's trying to get across, and as she's getting across, all of a sudden we see the hand, and we see the person going across in the background, and then all of a sudden this show turns into a horror flick. Like all of a sudden it gets grabbed and goes into darkness, and then all of a sudden she gets out and gets pulled back in, and then all of a sudden they come flying out, and then she becomes like this, you know, she's fighting, and she's not really fighting. She's more of a, I mean, she's fighting for her life, obviously. But she's not doing any kind of kung fu. She's just fighting and grinding to try to get free, break free of this, of the what would you guys call this? A priest, an ancient priest? Is that what this is? I don't know what even to call this creature. Okay. I would assume it's a priest just because it's probably there to protect the gods and stuff that were down there. Anyway, so she looks over and you see the hands reach out and try to grab her, and she freaks out a little bit. And then all of a sudden, boom, gets grabbed and yanks her into the darkness. And then they fight. And then she takes the flare and shoves it into the guy's face after he rips off the mask. And the guy is really ugly. I mean, he's really ugly. He's got a bunch of tattoos. He's trying to smash her. She holds back. Now, obviously, here's another bullshit thing at the moment. The priest has got her on the ground, right? I don't know how many of you have ever been pinned down on the ground just in a play fight or wrestling or whatever. You're pretty limited to what you can do, and the guy above you is smashing his fist down. Again, Steven would be in the same situation because he's not very strong, even as a man. Now, as a woman, I think this was a little unbelievable. Now, tossing him off her and stuff like that, cool. Okay, but she's not a trained fighter. Either is Steven. Now, Mark, completely different thing. Okay, because Mark is a trained Marine or whatever he is, special forces and whatnot. He would be a little bit more. But I'll subdue my expectations here of like what's happening. Anyway, during the fight, he takes a couple of shots at her, and then she grabs the his face. Now she's only got one arm holding his arm, okay, and then takes the flare and then stabs it in his face, and then shoves him off, and then that's the end of the fight. Right now, she falls off the edge, holds on, climbs up, and I'm good with that. Yeah, Alien. Again, it's not like I'm shitting on her in any way. You know what I mean? It just came across. Again, Steven would have been in the same situation. Mark would have been a little bit more prepared, or would have done something a little bit more, right? So then, this is another moment. So she got free. She climbs back up. She's angry. She's just like, oh my God, I can't believe, right? She's like freaking out. But then she screams, right? She screams. And then all of a sudden we see Arthur across the way, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. There's gunshots going off. There's all this stuff going on. Okay. Steven and her get founded out. She almost dies. And Arthur's walking around with a fucking cane slow and just like, yeah, whatever. Hey, how are you? Let's have a conversation across a cavern here. So, what's going on with your father? Mark's not telling you, right? And she's like, let's just cut the bullshit. Why don't you just tell me? Why don't you just tell me what's going on, right? Meanwhile, we cut to Steven, and Steven, think about this. People have been looking for this for thousands of years to try to find the great Alexander, you know what I mean? And Arthur and his men have been there for maybe 2 days prior. All Steven and Layla did was walk down one corridor, get to one room, turn a corner. Okay, they knew the map, but they got to that summoning room or burial room or whatever you want to call it, where the guy was doing the dissection. He climbed up one freaking step, right? One level, walked through the door, and boom, he's in the fucking lost tomb, okay, of this ancient leader. And I was like, what? How did they not find this thing yet? And then obviously, now that Steven found it and then does all the work, Arthur and the guys just walk in, stroll in, and then take the stuff, right? Embalming room. There you go. Okay. Layla gave me some real Lara Croft vibes yesterday. They both lost their father, who are archaeologists looking for some kind of holy grail. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, Alien. I didn't even think about that. She obviously has seen a lot of combat besides Mark, giving she knows how to use weapons, and she knew about Moon Knight's suit. Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying that she can't handle herself. What I'm saying is when she got pinned down, okay, like just picture it real fast, okay? Here, I'll rewind it. I'll rewind it to show you what I'm talking about. Okay. She's holding him up. Okay. She's down on the ground. His left arm's on her chest or arm, holding her down. Okay. His right arm's being held, and she's holding his arm up. Okay. Holding his arm up. Now, the rest of his body can move. His other arm can move. She's not holding it. All of a sudden, she takes her hand and go up to his face, but then she removes it from the face real fast, has time to grab a flare out of her backpack, pocket, leg thing, whatever, and then stabs him in the head. Just the fact that he seems pretty powerful considering he took down a 240-pound man to put him on a table. Do you know what I mean? I get it. She's a protagonist. She's supposed to be one of the heroes, if not maybe the hero. It just seems a little weird to me the way it is. Right? I'm not saying it's got to be perfect. I'm just at the moment. I'm telling you my experience. I felt a little pulled out for a moment, going, okay, would that be possible? I get it. I'm being entertained. Let me just shove the popcorn in my face. Right? So, Steven Stephen's inside the tomb. He sees all the stuff. Now we see little pictures of statues of horses and text, and then we see like this little army of people, of statues, which is supposed to protect the gods in the afterlife, I would assume. Hence why they have it. You hear Stephen say, "Could it be Nefertiti?" He says, "Who could this be?" And all of a sudden, he looks at the writing on the wall, okay, or on the tomb itself. Meanwhile, as he's going across, Mark's talking to him. You kissed her, huh? And he's like, you told her the truth, and that was really unexpected, right? He didn't think that Stephen would do that, and she's like, well, I think she should have known, right? So now he sees the relic. He starts to talk Macedonian. He says, wait, that can't be right. That's not right. It's Macedonian. He's like, wait a minute, but that's not right. And then all of a sudden he looks in, calling him Egyptian, right? Which he knows and then sees it because Stephen knows about all this stuff. He's like, wait a minute, this is the great Alexander, right? This is the one that's King Alexander, right? No, wait, is it Great Alexander? I'm sorry. Let me make sure. Alexander the Great. That's what it is. Great Alexander. I'm dyslexic. I'm dyslexic. Alexander the Great. So you see this big giant tomb, and then all of a sudden the sarcophagus, and he pushes it open. Cuts back to Layla and Arthur talking again across the cavern, and they're having this conversation, and she's like, I don't want to deal with this. She walks away, but she doesn't walk away because she actually wants to hear what Arthur has to say. And Arthur just keeps talking and says, is it coincidentally, that, this is happening? Gunfire is across in the distance. And as she walks away in the corner, Arthur keeps speaking in other languages. And then he says, my little scarab. Okay. Isn't that what your father would used to call you? And now this kind of gets her a little triggered, right? So he says one of the most most unique archaeologists was her father and whatnot. So she comes back out. And he says, you still don't know. You still don't know the reason, right? He would be so proud of you right now. He's getting inside her head, right? So then she's like, look, just get over it. What are you trying to say? And he says, Mark and your husband. And she's like, you're trying to say that he did it. And he's just like, yeah, basically. And she doesn't believe him. She's trying to play it cool, okay? But obviously Mark is lying. So it cuts back to Stephen opening up the sarcophagus, and he opens it up, and then all of a sudden he figures it out again. It's like Nicolas Cage in National Treasure, right? He figures these things out super fast. He's like, where would they shove the thing? And like, well, it would be inside him, right? So the grave robbers can't find it. So he takes off the wraps, breaks the jaw of Alexander the Great, and then starts to shove his hand down a thousands of year old, dead person here, and finds the thing inside of his. Obviously, he's embalmed, so he doesn't have anything in there, and it's been thousands of years, so nothing's in there. But he pulls out. I thought for sure he was going to come back and like bite his arm or something. I don't know. I was like, this is going to happen. So he pulls out the statue of the god inside of this, and right as he does it, Layla walks in. And when Layla walks in, he doesn't know that she's pissed off because she just found out that Mark is one of the reasons that her father is dead. He's like, look, I found it. It's all ours. We won. We did it. We got it. And then all of a sudden you hear the noise in the background, and she's like super mad, and she wants Mark. And then all of a sudden she like hits him really hard, and then Mark comes back to the forefront, and Stephen takes a back seat to this. Okay. Now the episode takes a complete and utter turn here. Okay. What's going on, Milky? As they're talking, she just wants to know the truth, right? She wants to know the truth. The mercenary killed your father. And he's like, yes, but I was also there. And he's like, that's not how, this is how we met. We met because my father died, right? That's how they met. We figured that out. Now, I said that I thought he killed her. He killed her father. Now, it didn't come out as it is, and I kind of think he still killed her father, but it still says basically it's he, like the other mercenary killed the father. But I don't know about that, right? But it is what it is, right? And obviously she gives her the statue because now Arthur's there. She hides. Okay. And he grabs an axe from Alexander the Great. And then Arthur comes in, and then all of a sudden, guy comes up to him. He kills the one guy. I don't know why he didn't grab the gun and then start shooting everybody else, but he grabbed the gun and then sliced the dude. And then another guy came over. He killed that dude. And then Arthur shoots him in the chest. Layla doesn't scream at all. She's a pro at this. She's just like scared, and she's like, I'm not gonna say a peep. Okay. He starts to fall backwards, and boom, shoots him again. And when he hits the water, at this point, I believe, because the water wasn't deep. Obviously, there's not an endless pit that he went down. So obviously, metaphorically, as he hits, I believe that his soul was falling into like hell, I guess. Some sort of different realm, out of body experience type thing. And then all of a sudden, we end up in a psych ward. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening here, right? So it was a cool shot. Let me bring up the shot when he falls. Like, okay, so this shot right here, obviously that's the pool, and now we're looking from underneath, and he's not really upside down because it's now looking up, right? So it looks like he's upside down, and he's floating down. And as it happens, I really thought, I was like, okay, so he's falling into the pit of doom, basically, right? Like, metaphorically, because when you see him, he doesn't have the bullet holes, right? He doesn't have the bullet holes on him. Okay. As it passes by, there's no two shots on him, right? There's no gunshots there. So obviously, it's a dream. It's a metaphorical, like his soul's sort of like think about when Doctor Strange hits Peter Parker and Peter Parker has an out-of-body experience type of thing. It might be something along the lines of that. I'm not saying it's Doctor Strange out-of-body experience like that, but what I'm saying is it could be something along the lines of that. Okay. So he falls down into this thing, and then all of a sudden you see like a flashlight or going towards the light, and then it cuts to a really cheesy looking soap opera type of show where there's this young guy and this adventurer, and it's a really cheesy show in a 4:3 ratio, and it's based on like Indiana Jones, their adventures, like National Treasure, Indiana Jones, and you hear the kid call him Stephen Grant, Dr. Stephen Grant. Okay, so now you're wondering, like, wait a minute, so did he get the name from the show, one of the shows that he loved when he was growing up, and made this personality of him of Stephen Grant? Okay, then it pulls out of the television set and everything's white. There's VHS or Betamax tapes there. There's a few things that are in color, like the mustard and ketchup bottles are in color. And then as this pans around this psych ward, you can see every single person that's been in the show in some way, shape, or form that Steven or Mark or someone has interacted with him the entire time, right? You see the Rubik's Cube that he was playing with in episode 1. There's like Jello and fruit in other places. You see the orderly that's doing the Jello is the guard or the police officer that came to arrest him and whatnot. This whole scenario, I was like, my brain started like, what is happening here? I was like, is this a dream? I was like, I didn't know what was going on. What's going on, Chris? Right? I didn't know what was going on, but I started seeing all the people. I was like, wait a minute, that's yeah, you have what's her name? Donna, his boss from the museum. She's holding on to that blue scarab, right? Which is weird. If you noticed, the clock has the moon logos. Let me bring this up real fast for you. You can see that the clock has the moon symbol, and I don't know if that is Khonshu's like face or weapon. I'm not really too sure, but you can definitely see a moon back there symbol on that. Okay, so Donna's in there. You have the dude that the cupcakes were in there from the first episode. You see the guy who was the bodyguard of the other the gentleman that had the other tomb. I forget Margaret, whatever his name was. So you have Beck there, the bodyguard that Lena stabbed with the two things of her necklace from last week. You have the lady that draws a picture of Khonshu, the bird with the face on it. You just have a whole bunch of stuff going on here, and I was just like, what is happening? And my brain was hurting at this moment. It really was. Okay, it really was. I was like, I didn't know what was going on. There's a lot of little Easter eggs in here, and then all of a sudden you see Mark and the goldfish. Okay, now the goldfish, if you can tell, I'll bring this up. There's a goldfish over here, but the goldfish is not real. It's just sitting there. It doesn't move. Fins don't move. It's just staring there. Okay, I don't even think there's water in the bowl. Okay, it looks like the fish is in like a different container within the bowl itself. Now you see Mark there, and he also has a figurine of Moon Knight with him. Okay, the orderly, which was again one of Arthur's guys, which I believe was the other officer, wasn't it? Wasn't the other cop that arrested him or whatever? So now at this point, when I'm seeing Mark and he can't speak, oh, I'm sorry, not Mark. Yeah, Mark. It is Mark. When Mark couldn't speak, I was wondering to myself, I was like, is this a dream? Or is everything we watched the entire time been a dream? Right? Is this a dream of the insane asylum? Or is the stuff that we've been watching for the first 3.5 episodes that a dream? Did all of the stuff happen? Or none of the stuff happened, and then what's happening now is a dream. Okay, I think the stuff that we watched did happen, and I'll tell you why in a bit. Right? So Layla's here. So now as you see Layla, you're like, well, wait a minute, Layla's here. Everyone else is here. So is he really in love with her? Is she really a person? Did he really kill her father? Did he make up this personality? Did he make up all these things? I truly believe that what's happening to him in real life is that Arthur grabs the statue. This is my thought process. Arthur grabs the statue from Layla or whatnot and then just leaves. They don't take Layla because they don't really need her as hostage or anything. And that she is trying to revive Arthur in some way, shape, or form. Or the shock of the bullets is making him like this because he actually got shot. Okay. And he doesn't know what's happening. So him in this state is just like, I don't know what's happening. He can't speak. He can't put words together. Can't put sentences together or whatnot. This is just my thought process. I don't know what you guys think. What's happening? If this is real, if this is fake. If we just, whatever. Bingo happens. She says, I have bingo. This time I'll share it with you. I promise. And she walks away. And he's just there. He wants to get out, but then he's chained to the wheelchair. Like he's tied to the wheelchair just like he was tied to the bed, right? I go to my psychic ward all the time to talk to Sarah the hippo. She's a nice hippo, right? Right, so he sees himself and is trying to talk to Steven, falls down, and you can see that he's got a Moon Knight figurine with him, which I don't know if it's actually a Moon Knight figurine because Moon Knight wouldn't really exist. So I would assume that he created this figurine. Do you know what I mean? Like Moon Knight's not a character. So is that a character that he created type of thing, right? Because it does look like a weird character. It doesn't look like, it looks like another character. I don't know. It just looks weird. So now he's in Arthur's room, and Arthur's talking to him, and he can see the Tomb Buster home video. Arthur, he sees him sitting across from him. He can't really speak. Arthur's talking, and Arthur says something very interesting here. Okay, let me get to the part where he's like, there's no tree can ascend to the light of heaven, and it doesn't descend to the depths of hell. And I think at that moment, I think that he descended to the depths of hell, and this is where he is right now, right? I don't know what you guys think. I think that is something that's a big key here, okay? But Steven was the one who used to tie himself to the bed, not Mark. I thought that was odd. Right, but I see what you're saying. I don't really think it has to do with Mark or Steven tying to the bed. I just think it's a thing he picked up, right? They tie him to the chair so he doesn't get hurt, so he doesn't hurt himself. Because when the guy picks him up, he's like, you got to stop doing this type of stuff, right? I think it's more of just it's just more of a thing of, oh, that's why he's tying himself up to. I don't think it has anything to do with Steven or Mark. It has to do with just the character itself, to try to give us another reason, like, oh, he's tie himself so he doesn't escape, and they tie him here so he doesn't escape or harm anybody, type of thing. Keep him sedated, right? I don't know if it has anything to do with one or the other of the characters. So Arthur talks about the thing as, well, that line comes from the depths or whatever, comes from the video that he's watching. He sees a picture on the wall of the town that he was in episode 1. I thought that was Steven. I thought Mark was in the coffin. No, Steven's in the coffin. Mark is the one that got shot. Mark is the one here. Right? Because Mark is the one that even says, when he gets out of the coffin, he says, Steven? He says, yeah. I think he even says his name. Does he not? I think Arthur says his name. Let me read the dialogue real fast. I could have sworn he said his name. So they keep him sedated, and he says the effects are wearing off soon, right? And it says Mark. It's Mark. We don't live in a material world. We live in a physics world, right? And everything that he sees on the table is something that he's seen before. Yeah, Chris. Yeah. Mark is in the white. Steven's in the blue. Yeah. So he sees the stuff on the table. He sees Arthur's shoes through the mirror. He sees all these little things, the cane, all this stuff, and he's like, no, get away from me, don't touch me. And he tries to escape. He sees the pyramid, sees all the stuff, right? Which I thought was very interesting. So then he tries to escape. The orderlies come in, and after he breaks the window, they tackle him, and he escapes and starts to run down the hallway. As he runs down the hallway, the lights are swinging and whatnot, and he hides into a room. And when he hides in the room, there's a sarcophagus in there, or coffin, I should say, inside there. And all of a sudden, it's banging and pushing. And he opens it up, and obviously, Steven hasn't been in there very long. Okay, hasn't been in there very long. Or he has, because unless he just woke up and he was in there. Anyway, he gets him out, and he says, what's the last thing you remember? He's like, we got shot. And he's like, oh, yes. So I think that obviously actually happened. And what I think is happening here now is that when Mark died, he's not dead, right? Like, he got shot in real life 2 times, but his body or soul, whatever, gets ascended into this other realm where Steven and Mark both go when they swap places, right? Where his third persona would potentially be. Okay. Now, don't go into big questions here of like, well, how come they weren't in there before when we see them talking? I don't know. But what I'm saying metaphorically is that I think they both ascended into this other like dimension in between. Like, it's supposed to be hell, but it's not hell, because even when Steven first switched with Mark, he says, I don't like being here. It's cold. It just doesn't feel right. I think that's where they are. They might be something along that. The fact that there were the ward makes me think that this was not reality. Yeah. So, yeah, like a purgatory, you know, like in between, sort of like if this would be like the TVA in Loki, or this would be the where what's his name was the Watcher, like just a zone in between. Yes, sort of like, yeah. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, it's got to be like some sort of hell. It's cold, right? Obviously, we can say something along the lines of it could be like hell or whatnot. I think the third persona was in the room with the crypt banging. Oh yeah, the last one, the last thing. Here's the thing though. I had the first thought of maybe it is his third persona. So next week they'll open this coffin up and you'll see Mark. But then I also thought, what if it's Layla? Right? Like, yeah, we saw Layla in the other room, but what about if Layla is also here in the coffin? Because they don't make a noise. It makes a noise like someone's hitting it, but we don't hear like, help me or get me out or anything like that. That was Steven in the first one. In this one, I don't know. It's like, who's behind door number 3? Like, who is behind this? It could introduce his third persona. Or it could be just throw a whole fucking wrench into it and become someone completely different. Right? Could be someone completely different. Maybe it's someone we haven't even seen. Maybe it's the other dude. Because I didn't see the dude that played Margaret. Right? Is that how you pronounce that guy's name? The guy that died in real life. The other actor. Maybe he's the other guy behind the coffin. I don't know. It's very interesting. So the friendly hippo we saw at the end of the episode is actually the goddess name. How do you pronounce it? Torit? Isn't she? And correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't she like the fertility god? Isn't it? Isn't that what she is? It's Batman. It could be Batman. Right? I thought this was funny, though. After they just kind of walk by, they don't know who's in the actual coffin. They walk down the halls. Steven, I love this scene here for some reason. I don't know why. Let me show you. Right? You can see... Let me bring it up. I thought this was great. I like stuff like this because it shows you the attention to detail. Obviously, Mark is much more, military. He's down low. He's looking both sides, left and right, trying to see what's going on. And Steven just kind of walks about like he doesn't know anything. He's just kind of like, confused and scared. It was just funny to me. And then all of a sudden, the door opens up, and you see this giant goddess hippopotamus. And then all of a sudden, they're just dead silent. And then she says, "Hi," with the sweetest voice, and they're like, "Ah!" Which I thought was pretty funny, right? Because so this is a great scene right here. I laughed. Then after I saw the episode, after this ended, I was like, I was really confused, chat. I was like, what is happening here? I was like, I am so confused. I'm sure that everybody else was like, WTF? What the fuck just happened? Like, what is real? What is fake? What is happening? We don't know. Like, is everything that we watched for the last 3 episodes, is that real? Is this take place? Now, here's the thing I'm a little upset about. It all depends on how they do this, right? As we know right now, this could be a one and done series, and there's only 2 episodes left. And I love what they did here. I didn't really like the front part of this episode. I didn't. I was like, it's kind of cheesy. It's kind of whatever. It's kind of like pushes along real fast. But the last 10 minutes, I was like, what is this? Okay. And I'm like, okay. So now there's 2 episodes left. And let me make it clear now. I was wrong. I thought they were going to bring back Khonshu at the end of this episode. So I'm glad they didn't, because That's what Disney and Marvel does. They don't let anything breathe. So obviously, Khonshu got taken away last episode, and he's still gone this episode. So I was glad I was wrong about that. I was sort of correct about Mark killing her father, but he had something to do with it, but didn't do it himself. There's little moments in this episode. I was just like, I don't know about this show, and then all of a sudden this happened. And I was like, I don't know about the show in a complete different way now. Because now I'm like, all right, they got 2 episodes left, and now they have to answer what the fuck we watched and what the fuck was happening now. And I hope they can do it. I hope the episodes are longer, like 50, 60 minutes long, and they can explain what's going on. Overall, I'm really enjoying. This was my least favorite episode up until this happened. This end part of this episode, it's still my least favorite episode, but I was like, I don't really like this episode at all. And then all of a sudden this happened, and it was like game changer. It was a game changer. I was like, okay, because it really got me thinking of like what the hell is happening in this show, and where the hell is it going to go. So very interesting. I would like to know what you guys all think. Please make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. If you're here watching live, the show's not ending. I'm just going to hit the stop recording over here for everybody else. This is just my review. If you like this type of content where we discuss stuff and you're here live on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, we go over the breakdown. I give you my thoughts as I go through the episode, and then we have a call-in show, and we talk to the chat, and we chat about more of Moon Knight, about what the theories are, what your speculations are, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm confused about now, and I would love to hear you guys' thoughts down below. So please make sure you share, like, and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.